Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Gideon Stuff. Today we have a very exciting review. We're taking a look at the Outdoor Edge Leduc. It is impossible to say the name of this knife without a goofy French accent. It's just impossible. It's impossible. I've tried it. I've tried again and again, and it can't be done. It can't be done. So you guys are going to have to put up with that throughout this entire review. This knife was loaned to the channel by Eugene Krabs. You'll probably see him in the description, in the comments down below. Tell him thank you. Let's go ahead and get this review started with a blade length measurement. We're coming in here about 2.5 inches, a sharpened edge, and I mean, if we go all the way back to there, like 2 3/4 inches, but 2.5 inches of sharpened edge. So definitely a smaller fixed blade. Let's go ahead and compare it against our rats, which, where are they? There they are. The rat 1 and the rat 2. 2 rats and a duck on the table. Nice. What else do I want to compare it against? Honestly, I don't think it'd be much use comparing against a bunch of our other size comparisons. Let's compare it against some small knives. Here is the Civivi Baby Banter. I had another knife I wanted to compare it against. Where did I put it, though? I had it out just a second ago. What did I do with it? There it is. Wow, I'm blind. Here it is against the QSP Penguin. And let's also go ahead and get another neck knife out here. This is the Cold Steel Mini Tack. There we go. All right, what are we looking at in terms of materials? Well, we have a rubber overmolded handle and a blade that is 8CR14 MOV. Kind of a Tonto-ish blade. Not sure what to call that, but it's kind of neat. Let's go ahead and get to the cutting footage. Oh no, they're running. 3 nice-sized bucks. Gosh, it's gorgeous. Let's see if I can catch up to them. Why the heck not? Nope, they went over a fence and they're gone. Oh, that was nice. 3 pretty good size bucks. Hunting season, so someone will probably snatch them up and throw them in this freezer, but you know what? This is how it goes. Oh, look at that. Look at the nest. Well, that was a pretty productive evening drive. Alrighty, guys. Today we're talking about, well, you already know, because at this point we're probably 4 or 5 minutes into the review. Today we are talking about the Outdoor Edge Leduc. Pretty goofy little knife, but I gotta say, it's kind of cool. In fact, it's really cool in a lot of ways. So, as you saw, this is a neck knife, and it's kind of a goofy knife, but I do like it. So, let's go ahead and talk about this thing. Let's see if I can get that nail out of my board. Hammered that in for the pry bar review, never got it out. Just be cognizant that that's there. Okay, so what was I going to go for first? Oh yeah, ergonomics. We don't have to talk about action here. So the ergonomics. I mean, the handle's a duck.
but it's a comfy duck. So, for me, works like this. You got 3 fingers here, pinky back here. It really locks me in. If my hands were like just a little bit bigger, I think it would be more comfortable. But if your hands are too big, I could see, this might be an issue. You might get kind of cramped in here. So for me, it does work. But yeah, it may not work for you. It's got some interesting swelling and chamfers going on the handle, but it works. It's pretty comfortable for me. The jimping up here, you can see that, is actually really dang good. Very grippy. You hold it and it holds you back, which is really, really nice. So, good ergonomics. Let's talk about the carry. So, yes, it is a neck knife. There it is. I've got a couple of things about that. Number one, I'm not a big fan of having a neck knife on a nylon cord like this for 2 reasons. Number one, I like breakaway chains because if your neck knife gets caught in a piece of machinery or something, you want to be able to break off so you can get free, right? If you're in a Friday night gas station fight and someone grabs it, you don't want someone to be able to drag you and you want to break away, right? You don't want to. This is a very vulnerable part of your body, right? And so hanging something off of it, number one, is a little bit of a risk. So you kind of want to reduce that risk as much as possible. You want to be safe about that. Which is why neckties are terrible, terrible things. I'm pretty sure they were invented by psychopaths who just want to strangle people. You're literally putting a noose around your neck. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of it for those reasons. I'm also not a big fan of nylon because it picks up sweat. You've got this knife dangling around your neck, down in your chest. If you're working, maybe working out or just going about your day, you're sweating. Pretty soon that cord is going to start to smell like sweat. It's going to start to smell like gym socks. Maybe that's a weird complaint, but it's one I've got, right? So, that aside, they've got a pretty good little system here for your neck knife. You've got this little adjustment bit here. You can squeeze that, pull the strings through, adjust it to where you need. And the sheath itself is actually really cool. So, it's kind of a Kydex style, but it is not Kydex. This is injection molded plastic. So when you have an injection molded plastic sheath, a lot of times they don't have the snappy retention that Kydex does. But Outdoor Edge did something really, really clever to get around that. They made this little thing. It's really interesting because it holds your knife in there very securely. I mean, this has no jiggle, and there is no chance of that knife coming out, right? I can do this all day. It ain't going nowhere. Nowhere. But it is also still easy to get out. Grab the knife like this, put your thumb here, and you just push out of the way as you pull. And it's very easy to get your knife out of there. So, I like that. They took one of the weak. This is a cheap knife, right? Injection molded plastic. They knew that was a weakness. It's not as snappy as Kydex. I mean, the knife is just friction fit in there. There's no clicky detent. The knife is just friction fit in there. And so, as just an added safety measure, they put that thing on there. So, I like it. That's kind of a cool thing. I always like seeing ingenuity, stuff like that. So, there we go. Okay, that takes care of ergos and carry. Let's go ahead and cut with it. So, we have a blade that is kind of an interesting Tonto. 8CR 14 MOV steel. So, nothing fancy, but hey, it's an inexpensive knife, right? Let's go ahead and get right into this. There we go. One thing that's interesting about this is, unlike most Tontos that have a secondary tip here, this guy kind of does, but it's rounded, so you can't really get those, utility type cuts like you can with most other Tontos. but it does cut nicely if you pay attention to what you're doing. All right, let's get our rope out here. Go ahead and do a pull through. Oop, didn't quite make it. Something else too, with that weird belly swell, like you can see there, we just kind of slipped off. It just kind of rode off the blade. Yeah. So yeah, that wasn't the greatest, but let's go ahead and do this test here, see how it does. 1, 2, 3. Okay, actually, not too bad. Actually pretty well. That went pretty well. So, good job there. All right, let's do the pool noodle. This could get a little bit interesting. We don't have a whole lot of blade to work with, but let's try it. I do feel like we've got a little bit of unevenness going on in this grind here, so let's just see. Ooh. Okay. All right. Is that dull or is that geometry problems? Just a second. When a knife struggles to bite into the foam, like we just saw there, it's usually two problems. One, either it's not sharp enough, or two, the edge geometry is a little bit off. And so instead of it just cleanly going in, you might have something that looks, more like this, and it's like, a little bit harder wiggle in there. So let's see what we've got going on here. Yeah, okay. It's not a sharpness issue. This knife is plenty sharp for this test. So yeah, we've got a couple of issues with the actual geometry of the blade. But for a cheap knife like this, I can't say I'm really surprised. Doesn't make it okay, but I'm not surprised. That's something that you could fix, just reprofile it a little bit. Depending on, it looks like it feels like we've got kind of a shallow hollow here. So I'm sure that could be fixed. If it doesn't feel like we've got a huge issue in like the actual one side to the other, it might just be down here close to the edge, but you know what? It is what it is. Okay, let's go ahead and get back to the rest of the review. Oh, look. Twins. Alrighty, we're back. Let's talk about what I'm liking and not liking about this knife. First of all, the Leduc. And it's a Leduc. Look, the memitude here is awesome, right? I love meme knives, and this knife makes me laugh. In fact, for this review, I wanted to put a little rubber ducky out here. I just didn't get to the store to buy one because then I would just have a rubber ducky laying around that I would use for nothing else. But I thought that would have been funny. But then I realized that this knife is just, it's its own meme. It's its own joke. And I love that. I love that. No one can take themselves too seriously, right? No one who's self-respecting, right? Honestly, when I run into people who take themselves super seriously, they're always weirdos, and they're always just people you don't want to hang out with. And so when knife companies don't take themselves seriously, or at least can poke fun at themselves, or they're willing to just do funny things like this, I love that. I love that. I'm all for it. So absolutely love the Leduc name. I love the Leduc handle. It's goofy. It's goofy. I think it's wonderful. Next of all, despite being a meme knife, this is actually 100% usable. I think this was kind of designed and marketed towards outdoor hunting kind of applications, and I could see this as being in the role of maybe a caper, small game knife, something like that, or just a backup knife. However, I think its best purpose is as an EDC fixed blade. I carried this knife and I thought it was fine.
The blade shape is really interesting, but pretty useful. You've got a nice tip you can get to. You've got plenty of edge for slicing. The ergonomics are actually really good. They don't look like they'd be that good because you're literally squeezing a duck's head, but I mean, they work out. It's not the most comfortable knife in the world. I won't say that, but it does work. It works pretty well. The jimping up here is absolutely excellent. In fact, I consider that to be perfect jimping, which is nice to see. The black wash on the blade is actually really nice. We do have a hollow grind, which feels pretty good. Yeah, just interesting. Let's talk about the sheath, because I really do like the sheath a lot. That little feature right there, this little secondary locking feature, is really nice, because there is no real positive retention between this plastic sheath and the blade. So you can do that, and it's 100% safe. I mean, this knife is never coming out. So I think that's really cool, and it's not gimmicky. Getting the knife out to use it is still easy. Yeah, I think it's a feature that adds a lot and doesn't take anything away. So really, really cool there. You do have the sheath with all these holes in it. You can, if you really want to, I bet you could rig it up for belt carry. You might be able to find an attachment that could fit in there. But I don't know. As a neck knife, it works really, really well. Next thing, these are affordable, right? I've seen these going for like 20, 25 bucks. Yeah, no problem with that. I love affordable knives. I think everyone does. And I think this will give you what you're looking for an affordable knife. The blade steel, the 8CR14, for a $25 knife, I'm not going to complain at all. I think that's absolutely acceptable. Is it a great steel? No, and this knife honestly does not hold a very good edge. But I mean, it doesn't really need to. It's a cheap knife. I'm going to give it a pass. It is easy to touch up, so that's really, really great. Let's go ahead and talk about some negatives. I don't really like nylon cords for neck knives. I explained why in the review, so I'm not going to rehash it here, but you know, I would like a breakaway chain. Of course, you can take that nylon string off and throw it away and get your own breakaway chain if you want, so there's that. Other negatives, I don't think there really are any. You know, there's stuff I can nitpick, like the blade steel, or, you know, the edge was not amazing, the geometry, but, I mean, that's easy to fix. And honestly, this knife just makes me laugh and makes me happier than the negatives could start, right? If you're going to spend 20 bucks on a neck knife, this is a really good one to go with. It is a usable tool, but it's also goofy and funny, and we all love that type of stuff. And so I'm 100% happy with this knife. I think it's something else. It's very special. And yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you again to Mr. Eugene Krabs for loading this in. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. Until next time, I've been Gideon, and I'll see you in the next one. Until next time, I'll see you in the next one. Wow. I did not think that through before those words came out of my mouth. Anyways, have a good day. Adios.